In the past year, I've interviewed over 300 candidates. All of them were great candidates, best one in their teams, with many years of experience and lots of confidence. They knew their product, they could describe the problem their product was solving. They knew their technology, their architecture, the tools, and infrastructure. They could state all their advantages. But most of them didn't pass. Now, why is that? How come they seem so promising, and yet they didn't pass our interview? I know what you're thinking, and no, our interview is not impossible or extra hard. We don't ask riddles or tricky questions like, how would you escape a blender if you're the size of a coin? Just a normal interview. For us, most of the candidates fell in the same place. They could talk about their tools, their technology, their infrastructure. They used it every day. They loved it. But they didn't know how it worked. They didn't know the internals, how they were built and why. They knew to state their pros, but didn't know how to state their cons. As you can see, they didn't know anything other than what they thought they knew. We call them expert beginners. They think they're expert, however, they're still just beginners. On the other hand, there is that other type of candidates. We call them the wolf. Not the animal, and not the wolf of Wall Street. This kind of wolf. Winston Wolf from Pulp Fiction, the one that solves problems. The wolf is all over the place. He can solve any kind of problem, always knowing what to say, how things work, how they were built, and why. He knows the pros and the cons. He knows what's hot and trendy in the industry, why is it considered so hot and trendy, and why we should not use it. He is the one you want to hire. He is the one you want to have in your company and in your team. So what's the difference between them, the expert beginner and the wolf? The expert beginners are exposed the challenges and the face, the things they're exposed to in the day-to-day make them learn. However, it's just passive learning. They solve challenges using the technology and tools and infrastructure. However, they take it for granted. The wolf, on the other hand, is not an expert beginner. He's not necessarily a real expert. However, he is on the path to one day become a real expert. He does it by understanding that there is a bigger picture than what he currently knows. He tries to improve himself every day. He doesn't rely only on what his job is teaching him and an out-of-the-box just working tools. He actively learns. The wolf is an active learner. What is an active learner? How does one become an active learner? This is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So my name is Dennis. I'm a team leader in Sears Israel. Before that, I was team leader in the OFAC unit in the Air Force. And for the last 8 years, I've been constantly trying to learn new things, improve myself, my team, and my company in various aspects. You can read about some of the stuff I care about on my blog, and you can follow me on Twitter. So I'm really happy to be here today and talk to you about several things. We'll start from the basics. How does one acquire a new skill? We'll talk about the dangerous path of the expert beginner, how to avoid it, and how to become an active learner. So let's start from the basics. How do we acquire a new skill? Any skill. Cooking, learning to play a game, learning new languages, and learning to code, new frameworks, whatever. So basically, this is the road for one to become an expert, and the different phases in this road. This model basically states that in order to become an expert, we must constantly move along the phases. We are moving along those phases by improving ourselves and becoming better and better at what we do. We do it by understanding that every time there is something else, something bigger than what we don't currently know, and we're trying to understand it. This is a slight extension to the original model. It adds another path. As such, the advanced beginner can go one of two ways. He can move to the competent level by understanding that there is indeed a bigger picture, and he is willing to take the journey and starting to grasp his place in that picture. Or he can graduate to the expert beginner phase by assuming that he has already become an expert. The expert beginner is a very dangerous place, since they think that they have become experts. However, we think that they have become experts and not trying to realize that, that they still need to learn new things and have other phases to move along the way. Don't get me wrong, the expert beginners are pretty good, and they usually do a really good job. They simply don't know what they don't know. They don't think that there is a bigger picture with what they know. They think that what they know is the whole picture. They don't try to improve themselves or learn more because they think that they're experts. Basically, they don't know how little they actually know. So why? How come? How come that some developers turn this way and others don't? There are a few reasons for this, and we're going to talk about a few of them. So the first one is the fact that our world is constantly moving, constantly evolving. New technologies, languages, and frameworks are born every year. That makes becoming an expert very hard, because the cool thing to do is to spot those technologies and languages and use them as soon as possible. Because every year, since every year the technologies appear, it makes the developers constantly moving to those technologies. Without being able to truly deep dive, understand how things work, to understand when really we should use those tools and frameworks, and basically without getting the proper experience level. Another reason is the wrong perception of some developers that the fact that they're full-stack developers means that they're expert. Now, here's a disclaimer. Not all full-stack, here's a disclaimer. There are some full-stack developers who are indeed experts. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those developers who have completed a React and Node tutorial, built a to-list app, deployed it with a single click to Heroku, and therefore consider themselves experts and full-stack developers. They see immediate results without any understanding of how does this magic happen, how does it work, what's the internals, and how those tools were built. They don't think about the scalability problems, the performance issues, and actually when they should use it. 2 or 3 more tutorials like this, and that's it. They have nailed software. They are freaking unicorns. So another reason is the fact that some developers sit confidently in the same ecosystem and doing the same things over and over again without actually learning. It can go one of 2 ways. The first, the trivial way, is when some developer actually is spending most of his years in the same team, developing the same features, fixing the same bugs, and facing the same challenges again and again. He's learning, but eventually he reaches some glass wall, and from there he doesn't learn anymore. The non-trivial reason is when those developers actually do move, do change their workplace, change their companies and their teams, but they remain in the same positions, same roles, same tools, and same ecosystem, and again, basically not learning anything new. Those developers sometimes have many years of experience. I've seen many CVs of developers with 6 and even 9 years of experience, but when talking to them, you couldn't feel that experience. It was like talking to a mature, but still a junior developer. And the last reason is the fact that expert beginners rely only on what they're exposed to in their day-to-day. The technology and the challenges make them learn and grow, but it has a limit. They take the tools for granted, and they don't try to see the other stuff that's out there in the world. When talking to them, asking them questions, challenging them, you usually hear things like, oh, this is black magic. If you'll add curly brackets, it will surely work. That was here before me. Oved al tiga. And the last one, my favorite, React sucks. Angular is the best. It just is. Sounds familiar? I knew it. What you won't really hear is depth. It's the deep understanding of how things work, their pros and their cons. You won't hear those things when you're talking to an expert beginner, because they think that what they know is what they see. And I think that this is the core difference between an expert beginner and an active learner. The active learner doesn't necessarily know everything, and doesn't, as I said before, is not necessarily a real expert, but he realized that there is something bigger than what he currently knows. And he's willing to go the path and understanding, digging deeper, gaining the knowledge to really understand what is this thing he's looking at, the tools, the frameworks, and the languages. What are the pros and cons, when they should use it, and when they should not. So we've talked about the expert beginner, and we started talking about the active learner. But how does one become an active learner? Here's the very important part. Everyone can. Active learner is not a phase. It's a mindset. It's a state of mind of everyone that can actually just realize that they're not yet become experts, that there is a bigger picture than what they know, a bigger picture that they want to be part of, and they're willing to go the path, moving along those phases, becoming better and better at what they do, until one day they become an expert. So active learner, again, is not a phase. It's just a state of mind. So I want to talk to you about 4 tools that can help any active learner to achieve his goals. Number 1, read. Reading is the easiest because the internet is filled with books, articles, blog posts, podcasts, videos, whatever, about almost any topic. It's just there waiting for you. Read about the things you know. Dig deeper. Truly understand how the things you use work. Understand the internals, understand the pros and the cons. And also look for alternatives. Maybe there are better ways to do the things you're currently doing. Also, read about the things you don't know. Stop believing in magic and black boxes. Google it. See what they really mean. Pardon me. Google it, open your mind, try the unfamiliar, try things that you didn't hear before. Read about the articles that you understand, and also about those with the titles that you are not familiar with. I want to share some of my personal tools that will help me to read and stay updated. I have a Trello board with almost every term that I hear in the office and when talking to my friends with different topics that I don't really understand, that I wish to learn more. I add it there. Then I just Google it, look for videos and blog posts. When I stumble upon a good post, I look at the blog. If the blog has interesting information in it, then I add it to Feedly, which is basically a simple RSS reader that allows me to remain updated on this content. And my favorite app is Pocket. It's a very simple app. It allows me to add any web page, an article, a video, whatever, and keep it there until the time that I want to read, or the time when I have time to read and watch it. Because not always when we get some interesting information, we really have time to give it the proper attention. So the second tool, leave your comfort zone. In order to truly improve, we need to experience things we don't know. We need to leave our perfect place and try things we don't know, and sometimes even change our workplace and start over in a completely new place. So, software development is not about the tools and the languages and the frameworks that you know. It's about the principles: solid, dry, keys, automation, and many more. Those principles are cross-platform. So try the unfamiliar. Stop believing in magic. Stop believing in black boxes. Try to create magic, and try to build black boxes by yourself. If you had some cool infrastructure in your place, in your workplace, and you just had it there, don't take it for granted. Understand how it works, and then try to implement it yourself. For example, if you had a cool code base with many tests and great coverage written perfectly in a continuous integration process in your C# environment, try bringing it to the iOS world. Try writing testable code in Objective-C. Well, every time you'll do it, you'll rediscover those principles again and again. Rediscovering those principles will sharpen your understanding of their importance and will drive you to apply them in every place they're missing. Number 3. The third tool is basically just share your knowledge. Write about what you know. Have you read a great article? Watched a cool video? Share it. Write an email. Tweet. Open a Slack channel. And even open a blog post. Sharing is caring. So when you write about it, you'll experience a double impact. The first one, you'll share your knowledge. Your discovery will be someone else's discovery, and you'll help them actively learn. But the second impact is the most interesting, because writing is not easy. You cannot write half-truths or share shallow knowledge. You must really understand the things you write. In order to write, you need to deep dive, understand how those things work, you understand the pros and the cons. Writing about something will allow you to, you'll be able to tell a story, to hold an argument, explain the pros and cons to everyone else. This is a muscle. This is not only relevant when you write. It's also relevant when you talk, in your office, when you want to explain something new, and just talk to your friends. This muscle becomes better and better every time you write. This is one of the reasons I've decided to open my blog. I wanted to write about things, and I wanted to really understand. When I decide to write about something, I commit to myself to really understand the things I write, just in order to really understand and not share things that I don't really understand deeply enough. So the last tool. Passively learning in our job has a glass limit. There are many more ways to improve our experience and get the proper knowledge. Active learners use after-school activities in order to actively learn and gain better and better. Go to meetups, meet other people, talk to them, see how they solve the same problems you are solving, see how they use the same tools you are using. Maybe you learn something new, or maybe you can teach them something new. Try contributing to open source code. Go over your favorite projects. Help them out. Submit an issue. Add a feature. Writing code to an open source project will lift your skills higher than ever. Also, just read. Try Stack Overflow. Go if you really think you understand some of the topics. Try going over for the questions. See if you can really answer some of them. And really, basically, just code. Open your laptop at home. Open a new project. Try new technology. Try the things you considered black boxes and magic back home. Try doing them by yourself. In a different language, in the same language, it doesn't really matter. Try doing the things you're curious about, things you find interesting, and the things you find passionate about. Because every time you'll do it, you'll make your skills better. You'll make your understanding deeper. And eventually, you'll be able to tell when you should use those skills and when you should not. And as Confucius said, I do and I understand. One more thing. Let's say we do all that. We go to meetups, we read blogs, we even buy a Mac. Is it really enough? The answer is no. It's not enough. It's not enough because all the things I've said before are just tools. Those are the tools that can help an active learner to achieve his goals. However, you need to know where you're going. You need to know who you want to be. You need to know what skills you wish to acquire. Only when you can decide on what you're going to read and which meetups to attend and which meetups to avoid. If you won't do that, you'll find yourself reading the same blog posts again and again, going to tons of meetups, but eventually doing nothing about it. We're all busy people. We don't have time to fool around. We need to stay focused and efficient. We need to have a plan. We need to have a plan that will help us understand where we want to go. We need to have a vision, a roadmap, and goals. And I think that this is the most important takeaway from my talk today. In order to really evolve, grow, and improve, you need to treat yourself as a project. In order to really improve, grow, and evolve, you need to treat yourself as a project. Same as you've done in your work. Have a vision, have a plan, set objectives. I want to re-implement our ORM framework in Java. I want to create a continuous deployment process for my mobile development. I want to understand how the IOC container works. After you've done it, after you set your goals and objectives, then you can set the roadmap. You can set the plan, decide what you want to read, which projects do you want to develop, which meetups you want to attend, and the meetups you want to avoid. After you've created that, go, try, pivot along the way. Do the things that work for you. And of course, this is not a one-time thing. You cannot just try one-time project, deploy it to Rocco, and say, yes, I've nailed software. I understand how things work. No, this is a constant process. You need to do it again and again and again. So, some takeaway points. Active learner is a mindset. It's a mindset that every one of us can take. The second we realize that there is something bigger than what we currently understand. You need to treat yourself and ourselves as a project. Create a vision. Try to understand, and I know it's hard, who you want to be, what skills are missing for you now, and what skills you have, and you want to make them better. Then, use the tools. read, write, leave your comfort zone, try different things, not because they're cool, not because React is the new thing. Try the new things in order to understand how they solve the same problems that you're facing. Get a new perspective, new methods to see those things. As we said before, the principles will remain the same. You'll be able to do it with your own tools, but understand the principles. And of course, repeat. Do it again and again and again. Because if you really keep doing it, eventually you'll become the wolf. Thank you.